Hey folks, the VOX 3 Collective is in the middle of rehearsal for the Honor Requiem, written by Amos Gillespie, and I actually have the pleasure of talking to Amos here today. And Amos, I have to admit, as a classical musician, when we perform stuff, it's usually by dead composers, and you're very much alive, and you look far from dead. How old are you, Amos?
32, going on 33.
Oh wow, and when did you write the Honor Requiem?
I wrote it about 3 years ago, so 2009.
Wow, so you're 29 years old writing a Requiem. How does that happen?
Well, I was asked to write, I was commissioned to write the piece.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the person who commissioned it, I understand that she gave you some of the text that you were working with and the melody that is found in the first and the last movement, correct?
That's right. Yeah, she compiled the text.
Okay.
Some of it's secular, some of it's religious, and she also gave me the theme, as she called it. I mean, it's really more than a theme. It's about 20 bars long.
Okay.
And it's just the melody, and then so I had to harmonize it make it suitable for a soprano, alto, tenor, bass choir, and then I developed it a little bit, and that made up the first movement.
Wow, and the person it's commissioned for, because we all tend to think of a requiem as a death mass. Is this person still alive, or?
He is, actually. He's very much alive. So she did some research into what a requiem could be, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be a death mass. It can honor, well, I guess it's, it honors the life of the individual, and the individual does not have to be dead.
That's a relief. That's a relief.
Yeah, so yeah, he's perfectly okay, and it's just in honor of his life, to celebrate, all of what he's done with his family, with his work.
And what's that like? I mean, because you were given the text and the melody, and it's like working with somebody else's idea, because I imagine that when you're composing something, it probably helps if it's your own idea, right?
Right, yeah, it's a little challenging. I mean, composers in the past have played around with themes that they've been giving, which is like 1 bar to 4 bars, and they can improvise around that and create a work on it. But this passage was a little bit longer than that, so the style, the foundation of the style was definitely set, and that's just for the first movement. So the first movement does have this choral sound, which was the style of the theme that she gave me. When developing that, it was a bit challenging, but I think it worked. And then my style took over in the following movements.
And speaking of which, I've spoken to some of the singers who are actually in rehearsal for this, and they say that there's a beautiful fugue in the middle that's quite complex, right? How is it to have a group like VOX 3 where they are educated and trained enough to do something this complex? Like, it wouldn't be like a church choir or a community chorus that could tackle something like this, right?
Right. Well, it's an honor, just like it's an honor when any large group or talented or substantial group is interested in playing your music. So to have VOX 3 perform this piece is definitely a great honor. And for them to tackle the more complex movement, which is that fugue, it's astonishing. I'm just so grateful for it, and I look forward to hearing it.
And as a composer, when you finally hear your work being performed live, like through voices or instrumentation, is it ever the same as when you pictured it and you're like writing it down on a score?
It's almost never how you imagine it, because the interpretation of the performers is very much unique to them and their vision for the piece as they learn it. So, yeah, the general framework of it is what you wrote and what you had in mind, but the inspiration behind it, the feel of it, the pacing of it, so much of it just becomes something totally different from what you originally imagined. So it can be frustrating sometimes, but for the most part it's really interesting because it makes your piece, it's alive, it's so alive. With every new performance it's something different.
So that's really special when you have a composer that's with you and you get to premiere their work. It's like history unfolding, but then every time it's performed, it's like history rewrites itself almost, right?
Yeah, it does. Unless it's a recording.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But if you want to experience it for yourself, come down to the Methodist Temple in downtown Chicago, March 14th and 15th, so you can experience your own version of it. I want to thank Amos for talking to us about it today, and we'll see how it unfolds. See you there.